I did not think I could be more shocked or disturbed by the actions taken by the Trump administration against Abrego Garcia, but this latest piece of breaking news that we just obtained shows the unthinkable ways that Donald Trump has continued to attack this man, because him and President Bukele of El Salvador were just caught trying to undermine the meeting between Abrego Garcia and Senator Van Hollen in a disturbing effort that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we get into how Donald Trump was caught and what he had to say when he was making this unthinkable action, I want to get into some recent reporting from Rachel Maddow talking about just how unpopular this plan of Donald Trump's is, because it is the reason we need so many more Democrats speaking out in a way that they have been afraid to do so, besides the fact that it is just moral and right. But let's listen to Rachel Maddow.
New poll out today from CNBC Heart Research. Do you approve of the job that Donald Trump is doing as president? No, we do not. Donald Trump's overall approval rating underwater by 7 points. That is even lower than it was last month in this same poll when they had him underwater by 4 points. But things get much worse for him when you start asking about Trump's handling of specific issues. Do you approve of Donald Trump's handling of the federal government workforce? No, we do not. By a 9-point margin, we do not approve of his handling of that. Do you approve of Donald Trump's handling of foreign policy? No, we do not, as a country, approve of Donald Trump's handling of foreign policy. By an 11-point margin, we disapprove of him on that. On tariffs, the thing Trump calls the most beautiful word in the English language. Do you approve of Donald Trump's handling of tariffs? No, we do not approve of that by a whopping 16-point margin. On inflation, which is, prices, the issue that arguably did more than anything else to get Donald Trump elected president, do you approve of Donald Trump's handling of prices? No. of inflation? No. Voters disapprove of Trump's handling of inflation by a 23-point margin. The proportion of Americans who disapprove of Trump's handling of inflation is 60%. The proportion who approve it is just 37%. And it's not just this one poll where he's doing so terribly. Another poll this week from The Economist and YouGov shows basically the same thing. That poll has Donald Trump's overall approval rating underwater by 10 points. In that same poll, Americans are asked if they approve or disapprove of Trump's handling of foreign trade, including, i.e., tariffs. Americans say no by a 16-point margin. They disapprove. When voters are asked if they think Trump's tariffs will increase or decrease the prices they pay for the things that they buy, the proportion of Americans who say Trump's tariffs are going to increase the price on stuff they buy is 75%. 3 in 4 Americans think that Trump's policies are deliberately driving up prices. Throughout Donald Trump's entire life as a political figure, the one issue where he has almost always enjoyed, to my mind, inexplicable, but nevertheless net positive support from the American public is on the issue of immigration. But even on that, not anymore. Look at this. A Quinnipiac poll from this month now shows that Americans disapprove of Trump's handling of his signature issue of immigration by a 5-point margin. That's supposed to be his best thing, right? He's underwater on all of it. Trump has been back in office for less than 100 days. The American people are quite disapproving of his agenda. The American people are protesting what he's doing more and more, and he's losing every single day in court on almost everything that gets him.
So I wanted to start with that clip from Rachel Maddow because there have been so many Democrats afraid to speak out. And we also just saw some reporting recently, an anonymous elected Democrat saying, well, do we really need to talk about this? Do we really need to do anything? I don't know. It might not be that popular of an issue. I don't care if it's unpopular. This is a man's human rights. And by the way, it is popular to oppose this illegal and immoral deportation plan, especially with the disgusting steps Donald Trump is taking to carry it out and then defame this man, which he continued to do in some reporting we saw about how President Bukele tried to frame this meeting. Now, to understand it, you first have to see this photo of Senator Van Hollen with Abrego Garcia, and you can see on that table that there's some glasses rimmed with salt that have cherries on them to suggest that they were drinking margaritas, that this was all fun and games, that he was totally okay. Well, some new reporting came out about that photo, and I want to take a look right here. Mr. Bukele, in a social media post, even crowed that Kilmar Abrego Garcia, miraculously risen from the death camps in torture, was now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in the tropical paradise of El Salvador. But according to a person familiar with the situation, a Bukele aide placed the 2 glasses of water with cherries, salted rims on the table in front of Mr. Van Hollen and Mr. Abrego Garcia in the middle of their meeting in an attempt to stage a photo op. They tried to pretend like all was fine, and Donald Trump was even specifically asked about this by a MAGA reporter who he thanked for the question because it was clearly all a setup to defame this man. Listen to what he had to say.
Senator Van Hollen sipping what appears to be margaritas with Abrego Garcia down in El Salvador. Do you encourage other Democrats to fly down to El Salvador to meet with this illegal alien who's an accused lesbian?
I like this guy. See, now this is the kind of a reporter we like. There aren't enough of them. We got to get some more of them. But no, I appreciate that question. No, look, he's a fake. I know him. I know them all. They're all fake. And they have no interest in that prisoner. That prisoner's record is unbelievably bad. If you would go into the room, you might, if you would, Caroline, maybe go into the room and see if you can find that little slip. I wrote some things down. I don't know why you'd want to keep him, but I just, we got a little biography of him. Not a very innocent guy. Yeah, please.
Donald Trump is accusing Senator Van Hollen, who was incredibly brave in traveling down to El Salvador, of being a fake, when the only fake thing that was happening was the photo op set up by Bukele to pretend like these guys were just having some drinks and some laughs and some fun, when this man has been ripped from his home and his family and his child and his community and doesn't know if he'll be able to return to the United States. This is the guy you're trying to defame, calling him a gang member, a violent criminal, none of which is true. It's just absolutely disgusting to suggest that they're in some tropical paradise hanging out, that Donald Trump is trying to push that narrative, that the other day they exploited the story of a mother who lost her daughter to actual gang members to try to justify their actions. None of this is justifiable. It is disgusting behavior from the Trump administration, and it just goes to show how far these depraved people will take their lies. It is gross. This has been the most unsettling story we have ever seen come out of this Trump administration. And this, I hate to use this analogy, but feels like the evil cherry on top. How are they doing this? There is no morality in this administration. There is no empathy, no care, no understanding of what is right and wrong. They are disgusting. And it doesn't just stop here. Rachel Maddow talked more about all of the detainments that we are seeing unlawfully in this clip right here.
In Raleigh, North Carolina, the Trump administration has just sent notice to 24 Christians who fled Afghanistan when the Taliban took that country back over. They are legally here in this country. They were given legal permission to stay here for obvious reasons. For not obvious reasons, Donald Trump is now taking that away and telling these Afghan Christians that they have to return immediately to the tender mercies of the Taliban right now, this week. It is a Christian church in Raleigh, North Carolina, that's advocating for them.
At the Apostles Church in Raleigh, there's a community of Afghans, many going through the same thing. Pastor Nick Kaminsky says the church has organized resources to help asylum seekers navigate the process.
It's a very personal issue. These are individuals, men, women, children that we know and have come to know and love.
That's Raleigh, North Carolina. In Utah, it's people who are legally here from Haiti and Venezuela, who are part of the community that they live in Utah, who are beloved there. Their neighbors in Utah are stepping up to help them and also to sound the alarm.
It's time for you to leave the United States. That's the first line of a letter from the Department of Homeland Security to several refugee families here in Utah legally. News specialist Dan Rascone is covering this story and joins us live. Dan, this has left neighbors shocked and upset.
It really has, Deanie. That's exactly right. Shocked, upset, angry and also heartbroken that several of these families got this letter from the Department of Homeland Security telling them they got to be out of this country by the end of the week.
I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm embarrassed.
Emotions running high.
It's not right. It's inhumane.
For this group of neighbors in Mill Creek.
We love them and they love us.
Gathered together to fight for 3 refugee families.
I feel sad, really sad.
That arrived in the U.S. and in their area not long ago. All of them getting this letter from the Department of Homeland Security saying, quote, "It's time for you to leave the United States. Your parole will terminate in 7 days."
Unimaginable. The government that we love would do this to people we love.
Honestly feel like family to us.
2 of the families are from Venezuela, the other from Haiti, all too scared to identify themselves.
The letter said that I was supposed to leave.
This mother from Haiti has a 2-year-old daughter.
I was in shock because I wasn't expected something like that to happen because I came here legally.
Attorney Jim McConkey with the Refugee Justice League is helping the families get representation.
We're dealing with a group of people that are here legally, and the letters that were sent intentionally are designed to bully and mislead these people into believing that they don't have rights.
That's Utah. That's Mill Creek, Utah. Those neighbors standing up for their neighbors who have been taken.
I hope y'all understand why I am so fired up about this, why it just upsets me so much. It's not just because what the Trump administration is doing is incredibly wrong, it is incredibly illegal, it is unconstitutional, it is unimaginable. But like I said earlier in this video, there are Democrats who see this as a losing political issue rather than a human rights violation. If you are too afraid to have the courage that Senator Van Hollen had, you should not be in Congress. You are not a leader. It's like Lisa Murkowski who said, there's a lot of fear right now. A lot of people are worried. Well, you're a part of the political party that is creating that fear. So maybe look in the mirror. If you are unwilling to stand up for this man's rights, please stop calling yourself a leader. You're not. That is how I feel. I know this is the time to focus on the Trump administration, but I am incredibly disappointed in any Democrats who will not stand up and call this what it is, which is a violation of human rights. Act like it. This is not a political issue. And it's crazy because we are winning the political issue if you treat it as that. But what comes first is the violation of our Constitution that is happening, the violation of this man's rights. Step up and call it out. Thank you, Senator Van Hollen. Thank you for your bravery. History will remember it kindly. Thank you. That is what a leader looks like. Thank you for listening to me yell as well. And if you want to support that yelling, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, I certainly need it right now. You can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.